everyone, and welcome back to episode 22. Today we are already in the little village of Huangkeng, not that far from Shaoguan in northern Guangdong. The plan for today is to follow a newly met rider who goes by the name of Qing. He's the guy you just saw with the red helmet and red suit and yellow boots, to explore some local trails. Today we are again riding my friend's Yamaha WR250R, and we've just left the village and are on our way to the trail entrance. With us today we've got three other guys that I usually ride with. One guy on a KTM Freeride, another guy on a Yamaha YZF250, and the last guy on a Chinese-made Huangkeng 250. Since none of these dirt bikes are street legal in China, we use what they call in Chinese a 面包车, which literally translates to bread car, but in reality it's just a van. They call them that because they are usually shaped like a loaf of bread. We use it to transport them as close to the trail entrances as we can, but very often, like today, we still must ride them on the road a short distance from the nearest village. As to why they aren't registerable, it's because China has very strict regulations and limitations on what bikes can be registered and driven on the road. Basically, whether a motorcycle can be registered on the road is solely predetermined by whether the manufacturer has gone through the extremely bureaucratic process of getting each individual model approved as street legal. If the manufacturer did not go through this process, then no matter what you do, you cannot make it street legal. This is quite different from some Western countries, where you can make modifications to the bike, like adding rear view mirrors or directionals to meet certain safety standards, and then the bike becomes potentially street legal. In China, it just doesn't work this way. It doesn't matter what modifications you make. In fact, you are not allowed to make any modifications except for changing the color. There are many people that make modifications to their vehicles despite it being illegal, but it will not help you in the slightest in terms of getting your dirt bike street legal.
Good.
Very good. Yamaha, very good. 阿庆呢？是不是倒了？哦，来了。怎么走？
走错了。
走错了。
我感觉是走错了。
So now I've switched to the Chinese-made Kove 450 Rally. Sometimes we get exhausted or frustrated out here bouncing around on these bikes in the heat, so we switch bikes. Not sure if it makes it any less exhausting, but it's nice to change it up a bit. Huh? Riding this bike really makes me think they couldn't have thought of a better English name for this bike. I mean, the Kove? Not sure about what all of you think of the name, but I definitely think they could have picked something better. Whenever I hear this name said in English, the first thing that always comes to my mind is a cove, like a sea cove. Even KY, the first two letters of the Chinese name, K for Kai and Y for Yue, Kai Yue, would sound much better than Kove. All just my opinion though, but curious to know what all of you think about the name. You can hear that the engine is really lugging without the high RPMs. Unfortunately, I didn't get it on camera, but after reaching the top of that difficult hill with the loose rocks, there was only about another 10 meters or so until we rounded a corner, and then the whole side of the mountain had slid down, covering the road, with maybe about 5 to 10 trees. That was pretty much the end of our adventure in that direction. It has also now so conveniently started to rain, so I think it's time for us to throw in the towel and head back.
Oh, it's slippery now, guys.
So what are my thoughts on the Kove 450 Rally? Well, for starters, this is not a bike intended to be ridden at low speeds or low RPMs. It is very much a rally bike in that nature. Riding it here at around 15 kilometers per hour with low RPMs, it just feels super bogged down, like it's ready to stall out at any minute. This is really a bike that you need to have throttle to the max, maxing out every gear and not putting along at slow speeds on trails. I do, however, like how slim the bike is. I almost feel like in the city, putting street tires on this and turning it into a supermoto could also be kind of fun. However, I think it would be really fun up in northwest China, where you've got flatter terrain like grasslands and desert that you could just tear across. But down here in southern China, where we've got just hill after hill after hill and blistering heat and high humidity, this bike would definitely not be my first choice. Absolutely zero traction here, just sliding down. It also doesn't help that the rear tire is flat. This bike has tubeless tires and too much air was let out in the rear tire. I'm gonna switch to the KTM as it's much easier to control than the Kove with the flat tire.
等会儿，我要擦一下眼镜，啥也看不清。
不戴眼镜行不行？
不行。
One of the problems I have riding in the rain is that I wear glasses, so when it's raining like this, it's very difficult to see. And you might think, well, okay, why don't you wear motocross goggles then? And I do have a pair with proper lenses, but it's so hot out here that usually I just opt for regular glasses as they allow for more airflow. But I think this is turning out not to be the best choice for today. Who would have ever thought that it rains in the rainforest? With rainstorms like these, the small plants and small trees just get absolutely soaked with water, and then they bend over, consuming the trail. Unfortunately, not only am I soaked head to toe, but my GoPro is too. Finally, some of the water is drained out of my GoPro, so the audio is not absolutely abysmal. The guy that just fell down back there on that corner, he's alright. He just wiped out on the corner with all this mud. And down he goes again.
Hey-yo! 还有没有气儿可以帮你加？有气吗？